It's 27 days to the general election. Good afternoon and welcome to Standpoint. I am Precious Amayo. As Nigerians prepare for the elections coming up in 27 days, for now, many are not smiling. The double scarcity of fuel and new Naira notes is biting hard on many Nigerians. This is despite repeated statements from the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited that there is enough fuel to serve Nigerians, and the central bank insisting that there is enough of the new Naira notes to go round. This has given credence to recent statements from the presidential candidate of the All Progressives Congress that economic saboteurs are behind the scarcity of fuel and new Naira notes with the aim of disrupting the elections. Now, that statement has been interpreted in different controversial dimensions. And joining me via Zoom is an accountant and public affairs analyst, Alesta Wilcox. Good to have you join us.
Thank you for having me. It's my pleasure. Thank you.
So let's start with the issue of the scarcity of fuel and then the scanty distribution, as it were, of the new Naira notes. This is a situation where we're in a situation where the CBN is saying we have enough to go around. We have distributed to the commercial banks. And then we're hearing from the federal government that we also have enough of the fuel to go around and that, we shouldn't be having this problem. But I just want to get your thoughts as an accountant, what exactly you think is going on?
Well, I don't know where the CBN is coming from to say they have enough. You can have enough in your warehouse. You can have enough goods in your warehouse, and they're not distributed on the shop floor. So saying you have enough and it's not being distributed, I wonder what that is going to, what that will pass to anybody. The issue of redenomination of the Naira or the redesign of the Naira is a welcome development. It is within the purview of the CBN. Currencies are supposed to be redesigned after a certain number of years. And I think the last time we had in Nigeria is well over 20 years ago. So it's a right thing. But you see, now you have it, you are putting deadline, a very short deadline for the return of the old currency, and you have not commensurately rolled out the new notes so that people will start having exchange. I mean, conducting their business with the new notes. Today, you restricted the amount of new currency people can carry. You even restricted where you can get it. For instance, since January 9, the banks were instructed not to pay the new Naira notes across the counter, rather from ATMs. And the banks only store 1,000 Naira notes in their ATM, either 1,000 or 500, those that can manage to get for 500. I have seen the 500, I've seen the 1,000. I have not seen the 200 Naira notes. Now, the 200 Naira seems to be the lowest denomination that we use in terms of transaction in this country. The 100 Naira is not very popular, again, but 200 Naira is the most popular. And so when that is not available, then I don't know what you are talking about, that you have enough. When you restrict where it can be gotten and how it can be gotten, and the amount that can be gotten. So people cannot do their business based on what. So that's why the old notes are still much in supply, are still much in use, and you have about 4 days to go for the return, and you are not returning and giving back. You say just return. So what are you trying to say? Then there's a problem. For me, there's a major problem. It seems that there is an invisible hand that is trying to work on other agendas in order to achieve other agendas. And this for the fuel, for fuel. I dare say that in the life of this present administration, from 2016, they came in 2015. They came in inside when there was some fuel dislocation, some problem with the distribution. From 2016, when they were able to stabilize the ship of fuel supply, we've never had a prolonged fuel shortage. We've never had it from 2016. As a matter of fact, festive period like Christmas and Salah and other periods have never, from 2016, witnessed fuel disruptions. But in the last 3 months running now, it started very low. At Xmas, during a whole festive period, there were no fuel, were so scarce. People were looking for fuel. I mean, I traveled, and I know what it cost me to travel to travel down to Port Harcourt from Lagos in order for me to get fuel. Getting to Port Harcourt, the entire city was dried up. I had to buy fuel at the rate of 400 Naira per liter in Port Harcourt to come back to Lagos. So this has never happened before. And NAPC keeps saying they have enough. You have enough. So where is it? So where is it? Well, I mean, you have always had enough, and we see it in the filling station. When the NAPC always say they have enough, yes, we believe them all along. And it is on the filling, it is at the pumps. You drive in, you drive out. Now you are saying you have enough, and it is nowhere to be found.
Let me start. I will get to the fuel scarcity in a moment. But let's talk about the redesign of the Naira, because you had mentioned earlier, and I also want to get to the issue of the agenda you also talked about. But you have mentioned earlier that every 20 years you're supposed to redesign the Naira note. For those who are wondering why and saying that, look, this is a waste of time and a waste of resources to be redesigning the Naira note, explain to us why this is very important.
No, I didn't say 20 years. It should be less than 20 years. I think international economy say between 8 to 10 years it should be redesigned. Now, the issue is this: when there is too much money in circulation, some of them are outside the banking system. And when money remains outside the banking system, most times it's unproductive. So people store money, I mean, especially in our jurisdiction, people store money in homes, in tanks, and we know what happened in Nigeria in the last years when kidnapping, banditry is the order of the day. So people have stored large amounts of cash taken out of the system. And this happens all over the world. America redesigns their own currency. Britain does that at regular intervals. So you do that in order to mop up the old notes that are no longer within the banking system. You mop up some of the very, very old, dirty ones that are no longer in use. So you mop them all up and then introduce new ones. This is regular economics. It's not a waste of, because even if you say it's a waste of money, you still print new ones. If you look at your currency, there are new dates. I mean, there is a date on all your currency, the year they are printed. So it's that if you are redesigning, you just spend the same money. If you are printing new notes, you spend the same money. You will not know how much it costs CBN to destroy money. Most times, the mutilated notes that you find, you may find themselves into the banking system. They are not sent out again. They go for destruction. So this is normal national. Normal national international economics that you redesign your currency. Nigeria did it last. I mean, Nigeria, the last time we had the 200 Naira was in 2001. I remember. That's about 20 years. We had the 1,000 Naira note in 2004 or 5. I can't remember. So that's how many years ago. So, and that has been the one in circulation. The last denomination redesign was 50 Naira note when it was changed 50 Naira, 20 Naira, and 10 Naira. When it was changed from paper to polymer. Those are the last time and that was way over 20 years ago. So you discover that the currency has stayed too much. This particular set has stayed too much within the system, and there is a lot that is outside the banking system that need to be mopped back and become more productive. So that is not a problem. But now, what I'm saying about this time around, we're in an election cycle, and there's a lot of expenditure. Election is not cheap. Let's not kid ourselves. Elections are not cheap. You need a lot of money for logistics. You need a lot of money for mobilization of your pooling agents, your agents. You need a lot of money to fuel your vehicle. You need a lot of money to pay staff salaries of your workers, and so you need a lot of money. So when you start,
again, I just want to quickly also comment. Because I want us to cover as much as we can in the time that we have. But talk to us about the fuel scarcity, because this is, I know you've mentioned that it is perhaps the longest we've had, and that for festive periods, this particular administration has tried to ensure that we do not have to deal with fuel scarcity as we've always done. But some people will say that, look, apart from the new Naira note, the only thing which is the new issue that we're dealing with is scanty of the availability of it, but that fuel scarcity has always been there. And so why is this particular one different?
No, fuel scarcity has never always been there. Like I said, from 2016, we know what it used to be before 2016, when this government, took control of, had a lot of hands on it. We've never had a prolonged. We might have 2-3 days disruptions. We might have a week disruptions, but not this long. The last time we had something that looks a bit, not even in Lagos, it was in Abuja when there was flood. So we've not had it this long. And I cannot remember any Xmas period from 2016, because I'm from River State and I travel home every Christmas, and I drive home every Christmas. I can't remember the year that I've had to contend with fuel scarcity while going home for Christmas. It has never, I'm talking about since 2016. It has never happened. Now, for this to happen at this time, when you are in an electioneering period, and for a ruling government that needs all the goodwill. Now, the APC is the ruling government. I mean, it's the government empowered national. And of course, they need all the goodwill on Nigerians. And you know how the fuel scarcity can bring so much disaffection to Nigerians, can bring so much backlash against the government. And you allow it to fester. Since towards the end of November, this started. And I mean, like play, according to, as they say in our local palace, we thought this thing would just ease off in 1 week. 1 week went to 2 weeks, 2 weeks to 3 weeks, 3 weeks now to a month to 2 months, going to more than 2 months now. So you begin to ask yourself, and then all you hear from NNPC will have enough. Enough where? So who is holding it? And if for a government that is facing a major election, not an off-season election, a major election that involves a presidential election. So, and then you allow a situation that will affect the credibility of the government, affect the credibility of the party, affect the credibility of the candidates of the party against the generality of Nigerians in a hotly contested election like this. So, number one, you have put your own candidates at jeopardy as a government. You have put your own candidates at all levels at jeopardy because you have incited the public against your candidates. Because it is a country where people don't have critical analysis of situation. All they want is the immediate.
So do you agree, Mr. Wilcox, do you agree? Because I think that's what I'm picking from what you're saying, that it's as if you're almost agreeing with the APC presidential candidate, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, that perhaps this has a political undertone.
Well, I don't. Professor Sage said it clearly, and I am not in no doubt that that the man is right. Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, the president of the APC, somebody that does not speak anyhow. He is somebody that is so intellectually endowed that he chooses his word and he knows when best to put his word across. And so when he went to Abeokuta and say what he says, he must have had his facts clearly right. That some fifth columnists, it may not be the president, it may not be people from official quarters, but that fifth columnists are trying to use it as, use this thing as a weapon to the opposition, and it's not out of place. And I wouldn't want to mention names. If you discover that some of the people that are running those institutions, they might have allegiance to other interests rather than the interests of the current administration and the current government. We know some of the appointees in this government, some of them inherited from the old administration. So this government still retain them out of goodwill, still retain them. Of course, the allegiance will still lies somewhere. So I think, and I want to believe what Professor Sege said and the outburst of Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. So the fact that this thing must have, because I said it has never happened in the lap of the administration. How could an administration that has maintained free flow of fuel over the years, and then coming to a time when they have a crucial election? This election is very, very crucial. In fact, it's very, very competitive. There is the main opposition. There's a third force that is being backed by majority of the youth and the working class, who sees this administration as a failure, and then you are not giving them more weapons at the 9 minutes of the election, at the 12 of the electionary process. You're not giving them a weapon to use against their own candidate. So is that a political undertone? A government that has maintained so much stability, a government that has maintained so much in terms of free flow of, look, the policy of fuel is very serious, and we must face that fact. We must understand it. Nigerians are just waiting to cash in on it. They don't care if Nigeria still has one of the cheapest fuel in the world. If you look at the cost of our fuel, compare that to what others pay in our West African sub-region, we are still heavily subsidized. But Nigerians, how many people want to think that way? All they want to know is that, oh, the price has gone up, this government is a failure, Oh, when they came into power, the price was X, when now the price is Y. That's what they want to hear. And you are giving that an ammunition. So, and I don't think anybody who is doing this wishes the candidates of this party well. Which is the candidates of the government of
I want to explore this further with you, but I want to take a break. When we return, we'll explore this further, and especially where you think this is coming from. You're still watching we're watching Political Standpoint. When we return, we'll have more of this conversation with Mr. Alesta Wilcox. Stay with us. On Standpoint, we are still exploring the recent statement made by the presidential candidate of the All Progressives Congress, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, that economic saboteurs are behind the scarcity of fuel and new Naira notes with the aim of disrupting the elections. I was speaking earlier with a public affairs analyst and accountant, Mr. Alesta Wilcox. Is still with us. Thanks for staying with us. You were making a point earlier about how this government is allowing this kind of situation, especially with the fuel scarcity, knowing that it has a major election to win. It would almost sound as though you are saying that, well, this government has a part or has a hand in this.
Hello. Sorry, was it for me?
Yes, it was for you.
Okay. If I heard you clearly, sorry, can you come with the question again?
I said you were saying earlier that this government is allowing this kind of fuel scarcity fester for this long, when it knows that it has a major election to win. Almost as though you were saying that maybe somehow someone in this administration has a hand in this.
I will not go against that kind of a statement, though it's not my statement. The early indication shows that somebody is not helping the administration. Somebody is not helping the administration. Somebody, a group of persons who are in charge of seeing this smooth flow of activity for the and then giving the administration a good image is not helping the administration. You cannot create an impasse that the people will revolt against at a time like this. It has never happened. Like I said, it has never happened. Even when we had fuel scarcity, it doesn't fester for 2 months. It has never happened. Even when under the PDP we were having fuel scarcity here and there, I don't think anyone has festered for 2 months. So, but this one, you are allowed to fester for 2 months, and all you can say is, we have enough. We have enough. Where is it now? You have enough, and are you holding it? If you are holding it, then for what end? For what purpose are you holding it? And the people are revolting. The people are angry. If you look at social media, all they are doing is APC government, APC government, APC government. Who is calling the NNPC main director, Mekaye, or what is the Mekaye? Who is calling him? In respect of the Naira note that is scarce, who is calling Mefile? It is Buhari. It is APC that they are calling. Who is calling Mefile? Mefile is governor of Central Bank, appointed by a PDP administration and still retained by the APC administration. I'm not here to speak politics or anything, but who is Nigerians calling Mefile today? No, they are calling Buhari. They are calling APC government. Whatever pain they go through, are they going to call the people in charge of those ministries? No, they will not. They will not. They will call Buhari. It is Buhari, and then at the end of the day, they will see it's APC. So you are not creating a problem for the APC candidates nationwide. You are creating a problem for the APC candidates. It may not only be for the president candidate of Asiwaju, but all of the APC candidates. Because when they are suffering, the narrative is APC is making them to suffer, and so they will revolt against APC candidates. So, and I don't think anywhere in the world you are going to an election and you are allowed you create bad publicity for the party, for the ruling party, and then you are going to an election. On what grounds? Let me tell you what happened in the election, and which I talked about when I had when it happened. A government election was to take place. A week to that time, the fuel price was increased, despite by NNPC. A week to a governorship election for which the APC was having a tough time. That same week, the election will take place on Saturday. On Monday, fuel price was increased. And what happened to APC in Edo State? They lost that election. Was that a contributing factor? Yes, that's a contributing factor, because that is not a time to have done such a thing, because your party is going to an election. And you know the policy of fuel in Nigeria. One naira increase in fuel price, it will revolt the people against the government. Even though we are still paying the cheapest in terms of fuel price across most part of the world, across the West African sub-region, Nigeria still pays the cheapest fuel, but increase it by 1 naira. I see the revolt from Nigerians, and it is during election of Edo they increased fuel price from 126 naira to one.
Mr. Wilcox, are you insinuating that perhaps there is a history of sabotage?
I am insinuating that yes, I am seeing. I'm not insinuating. I am drawing an analogy. I'm not insinuating that the history of sabotage, but I'm drawing an analogy for it's either an oversight, a wrong policy, or somebody somewhere is manipulating things. It can be any of them. You see, I'm becoming to be very weary of some happenings within this government, and I'm seeing some invisible hands of working against themselves. And it's not fair. It's not right for a government that has done so well. It's not right for an APC government that has done so well. Nigerians have not seen it, but most sensible Nigerians have seen the great work the APC government have done. I'm not here to rule it. I'm not a member of the APC. I'm not a character member of the APC. But I've seen Nigerians could see and attest to some of the great works, a sharp departure of what we had in the first 60 years of democratic administration. We can see infrastructure being built. We can see things being done. We can see how insecurity has been tamed. Boko Haram has been tamed. Things seem to be flowing. But what do you get? The bad publicity, and people cashing on the bad publicity. And so in fact, even when you know that no matter what the goods you do, the media, the social media, the press will only happen on the negative ones, and you're still giving them such rooms at a time where you're going for an election. You cannot even go and increase fuel price when you're going for an election. It's not. It is political suicide. You cannot have free flow of fuel to be disrupted when you are going for an election. It's political suicide. You cannot have currency scarcity, and the people are groaning when you are going for an election. It's political suicide. So anybody who is doing it does not wish well for his party and the candidate of his party, because the backlash against the party, not just the presidential candidate now, other persons that are on the ticket, on the ballot of the party, because of the reactions of Nigerians who sometimes are misguided. Most of them are misguided without critical analysis, without critical thinking. They will just take a decision based on how they feel today, and then it will spread like wildfire. So people must be politically sensitive, must politically calculative to know when to take a decision and when not to take a decision. I don't mention that of a Edo State government election. When that thing happened, I shouted, this is not the time to do it, because we are creating a bad situation of the government against the government party. And
but
what happened?
Should that decision, Mr. Wilcox, should that decision be made because there is an election to be won, or should it be made because Nigerians are suffering already? I know you say that, look, the APC government has done well, but when you speak to Nigerians, that's not how they feel. They feel that like this fuel scarcity is an icing, or a poorly made icing on an already bad cake. And so when you say that, hold on. When you say that the APC government has done well, I'm not sure if some Nigerians will support you in that regard. And so should that decision, when you said they should be sensitive in terms of, the political dispensation, should that be the driving force? Or should the people actually be the driving force, where you say, okay, look, these people we're already having people who are suffering, let's not make this even worse for them?
That is exactly, you are my point. I think we're on the same page, but maybe from different angles. The people felt they are suffering because everybody felt that the APC government, to them, the infrastructure, the rail lines, the regular payment of salaries, the payment of pension and pensioners by the APC government at the federal means nothing to them. To them, Second Niger Bridge, Lagos-Ibadan Expressway, and so many other things means nothing to them. To them, that the people of Borno, Yobe, Adamawa can sleep, go back to their houses and sleep, and the El Kanemi Football Club plays in Kaduna and plays in Maiduguri, and football clubs travel to Maiduguri to go and play their Premier League matches and come back. Means nothing to the lot of Nigerians. All they see is the bad. All they think is, oh, Nigeria is insecure. That is the mentality of most people. But those who are rational, they can see what the APC has done.
All right, so Mr. Wilcox, let me put you on hold. Sorry about that.
Let me just make this point.
I need to put you on hold. I want to bring in a member of the APC PCC. He's of the Directorate of Election Planning and Monitoring, Ambassador Hassan Mohammed Hassan. He's joining us from Abuja studio. Good to have you join us.
Thank you very much.
So, Ambassador Hassan, a lot of reaction has been trailing the statement made by your presidential candidate, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, that economic saboteurs are behind the recent scarcity of fuel and the new Naira note. How does your party view this? Do you see this as or maybe the PCC itself, do you view this as a sabotage?
We don't view it as sabotage as such, but is a glitch that we are working hard to rectify.
But do you think that it has a political undertone?
We can't rule that out because political undertone is definitely going to be there. But what is it supposed to achieve? Because the fuel scarcity, especially fuel scarcity, is affecting all parties. So it's wrong for one to come out to say it's affecting only our candidate. But be that as it may, the government is working hard and is trying to find out what are the issues. So I believe, just as I was coming to the studio, I noticed in Abuja, most of the filling stations, the lines have reduced tremendously. So that means something is being done.
Many are insinuating that, look, the statement made by your presidential candidate, he was in that statement, he was referring to the president, saying that the president is the Minister of Petroleum. Others are also saying, look, this is APC accusing the APC. How do you react to that?
Far from it. The reaction of the presidential candidate, of course, he has the right to react the way he did, but there is nothing wrong in it. And right now, all the parties are talking. Within the party, there is what we call a reconciliation. So, and there's no problem. There's just no something that is not an issue that cannot be surmounted. So we believe we can get it smoothened out, and we can't continue to be bickering. The people of the parties that are in opposition want this issue to be highlighted beyond a certain point. But we see it as a normal thing. There wouldn't be any problem as such.
But where do you think this problem is coming from, especially that of the fuel scarcity? Because the federal government has said there is enough in supply, but the suppliers, I spoke with a member of the NUPENG yesterday who has said, look, they do not even have enough to lift, and that most tankers are lying down, lying in parks and at depots empty. So where do you think this problem is coming from? If you have called it economics as sabotage, where exactly do you think it's coming from?
First and foremost, I don't view it as an economic sabotage. And in the petroleum value chain, there are so many organizations, so many individuals that are involved. So an inaction from any of these participants within the value chain can cause some problems. So the issue got to be looked at with dispassionately, with the view to getting it solved.
In terms of getting it solved, because this is an issue where, especially fuel scarcity, maybe Nigerians can even probably handle or deal with the scarcity of the new Naira note. But fuel scarcity Nigerians are very passionate about, because the economy basically runs on fuels. Small businesses need it. People need it for their households, generators. People need it for to move from place to place transportation. And so what is your presidential candidate going to do about this if he wins this election?
When we look at fuel scarcity in Nigeria, fuel scarcity has been there for a very long time. It is the Buhari administration that got the handle on it, and it has been smooth relative to other governments. So we are sure this is a glitch somewhere, and they will do the magic. They know where the things are, and will get it sorted out. And there won't be any need for complaints or seeing that our presidential candidate will lose out because people's level of activities are tapered down. And I don't think there is anything of such.
Ambassador Hassan, I hear you, but Nigerians want to know that this is the last time that they are going to have to deal with this, especially when you look at how long this has lasted for. And that's why I'm asking you, what is the plan when Asiwaju, or if rather, Asiwaju wins the election in next month, February 25th? What will he do to ensure that this doesn't become a regular occurrence, that the issue of fuel scarcity is not something that Nigerians, especially for this long, is not something that Nigerians will have to deal with?
Yes. Our presidential candidate, Asiwaju Tinubu, has made it very, very clear that one of the things that is bedeviling the petroleum supply chain is the issue of subsidy. And that subsidy is something that will be dealt with accordingly. So as far as we are concerned, we view this issue as a minor issue. And when it comes to when Tinubu, by the grace of God, comes to power, he will definitely deploy some forces to take care of this lingering issue, and will definitely move to ease the scarcity with the subsidy being removed. It will be available for everyone, and there won't be incentive to hoard or to do some hanky-panky with the supply of petrol or gasoline or whatever. Will be definitely unattractive for people. As such, we see the petroleum scarcity is going to end with the coming of Asiwaju in power.
Thank you so much for talking to us. Member of the APC Presidential Campaign Council, Directorate of Election Planning and Monitoring, Ambassador Hassan Mohammed Hassan. And let me also say thank you to Public Affairs Analyst and Accountant Alesta Wilcox. Thanks to both of you.
Thanks for having me. It's always my pleasure. Anytime.
Thank you.